Taylor Swift is a link builder. There were rumors that she would get engaged. Our client said, let's give them a free wedding venue. And then we got them 50 links. That's digital PR.
Managing multiple clients or large websites? Automate your SEO with Alley AI. Start your free trial now.
Wix Studio, one end-to-end web creation platform for your agency to deliver exceptional work with absolute efficiency.
Good afternoon, guys. Hope you are all well. Hope you all had a lovely lunch. Thank you for joining us here at the Practical Search Marketing section. As Odette said, I'm Amanda. I'm the Director of Cedarwood Digital, and I'm here to talk to you guys today about creating low-cost, high-return digital PR campaigns and link building campaigns as well, depending on what you want to call it. First off, a little bit about me. I am a digital agency owner. I've had Cedarwood for just over 8.5 years now. My background itself is broader in marketing, so I'm a qualified journalist. I spent 15 years on the darker side in the marketing space. I previously did work as a fully qualified broadcast and print journalist. Do love to travel, and instead of putting a picture of me here, I'll put a picture of my dog because he's just better looking than I am, let's be honest. He will also be making an appearance later on in the presentation. So to get started, I just want to give you guys a little bit of background as to why I sort of went for this topic in the first place. And I know that for most people, it's probably been a pretty difficult 12 months in the agency space, particularly on the digital PR side. We've got an upcoming budget, we've got tax rises, we've got everything coming in, and it's safe to say that the next 12 months will probably be more of the same. So we're really looking to maximize the existing budgets that we have and get the most from the investment that we're making. In addition to this, Google is throwing us curveballs in the likes of AI, SGE, so it's changing the way the SERPs are presenting, which again is making it even more difficult for us, to maximize our SEO and our return. So in general, we're having to pivot. We're having to change the way that we're doing things slightly. We're having to move towards making efficiencies in the campaigns that we have and really maximizing not just the impact of what we put into the campaigns, but the way that we report on the value of what we're getting out of the campaigns. And that's very much what we're going to talk to you guys about today. How we maximize value and how we maximize exposure from digital PR while also keeping our costs to a minimum. And we're not just going to talk about how we create low-cost digital PR campaigns. We're going to talk about how we create high value from them. Because at the end of the day, a digital PR campaign should do more than just build links to a website. It should get people to convert. It should build relationships and reputation. It should build brands, and it should also craft high-quality, newsworthy content that actually earns links. From an engagement perspective, it should build an ethos, a pathos, and logos. So this is a method of persuasion that Aristotle coined years and years ago. But essentially, when we're talking about getting people to convert on a website and the value that digital PR brings, it does so much more than just building links. It builds credibility, it builds emotion, and it also builds logic. So at a time when marketing budgets are really squeezed, the value that digital PR can bring can really allow you to kind of showcase why it's a valuable investment. So we've talked a little bit about why this landscape has come about. Let's get stuck into how we actually create low-cost, high-return digital PR campaigns. So first off, going back to basics, the successful digital PR campaign gives the audience what they want. So by doing this, we have more chance of coverage. So let's take a deep dive into what journalists actually want. So I did a little poll on Twitter a little while back, and I asked sort of 4 different elements. Now, don't get me wrong, all of these elements are important to digital PR. Human interest, relevancy and currency, right audience fit. But fundamentally, what most people voted for, and I'm sure we'd all agree on, is that what journalists want to cover is a great story. So I did a little bit of digging. And I found some data on what Britain's top 30 favourite news stories of 2023 were. And it was an interesting read, let's just say that. So at the top we had, the coronation of King Charles III, Boris Johnson resigning, the Lionesses, things I would expect people to care about. We then go downhill a bit and we have Donald Trump getting his mugshot taken. We kind of continue down this slippery slope where we get to things like Philip Schofield leaving this morning, Nigel Farage appearing on I'm a Celebrity, and Prince Harry releasing his memoir, Spare. But it's really interesting to see when we're talking about a great story that research shows that actually a great story might not be what we traditionally think it is. This research piece was actually really interesting because it also spoke to us about things that people didn't want to hear anymore about. Philip Schofield, Love Island, and Harry and Meghan topped that completely. Another interesting piece of data that came out of this, there we go, was that 52% of people said that the cost of living crisis was their biggest talking point. So when they were actually going to read a story or to get information from a newspaper, anything that had anything to do with money or finance was something that they really wanted to read about and engage. So what can we take from this information? Well, there's three main things that people care about when they're reading a story. The first one is we are massively curious. We're generally quite nosy. We want to know about other people. We want to know what's going on. We have like an insatiable appetite for curiosity. The second thing is we love famous people. So whether it's royalty, whether it's, pop stars, whatever the case might be, we love to know about famous people. And finally, for any Taylor Swift fans in the audience, this is her song, Me. We love to know about things about ourselves. So whether that's something that's in the interest of our health, financially, anything along those lines, we love content that relates directly to us. So when we think about how we're going to create digital PR campaigns and we know that we want them to land, all of these concepts should always be at the back of our mind. So I'm now going to take you through 4 steps to creating low-cost, high-return digital PR campaigns. But when we're thinking about this, I want you to keep that concept in mind at all times. So firstly, we're going to look at using headline research to understand popular topics that journalists cover. So it doesn't always need to be new. I think sometimes in the digital PR space, we spend a lot of time ideating, a lot of time trying to rewrite the wheel. But fundamentally, sometimes we just need to add to an existing conversation. So Google has this news archive, and it basically gets all articles from 2003 to the present. So if you want to see what's been covered before or see what's in the news, this is absolutely your place to go. So I'm going to give you an example from one of my favorite times of year. I'm a big chocolate fan, so I love Easter. I don't know if many of you would resonate with this, but I swear Easter egg chocolate tastes nicer than normal chocolate. So I'm a big fan of Easter time. And what I did was we went on the Google News Archive and I went on the Express, don't judge me. It's just a publication that prints a lot of different stories. And I wanted to see what kind of content they were covering around this time. And it was really interesting to see. So top left, we've got cheapest Easter holiday hotspots, where British tourist money goes the furthest. That was a story about M&S Money. Bottom left, we've got a law firm doing Easter drink driving, has cases surged by 91%. We've got can diabetics enjoy chocolate at Easter by a health services company. And then we've also got the dog chocolate situation. So obviously you don't give your dog chocolate at Easter. And that was done by a vet's clinic. I decided to go outside the bracket and have a bit of a deep dive into one of these topics. And I looked more into the pets at Easter topic. So I broadened my search. I took it away from the Express. I looked just in general to understand what kind of topics people were covering. And I noticed that actually it was getting loads of coverage. So BBC, The Independent, Earth.com, Country Living. And Country Living had actually broadened it out. It wasn't just chocolate. It's also simnel cake, blue cheese, macadamia nuts, raisins. Actually, there's loads of perilous things for your dog at Easter. So it was quite interesting to see that a lot of this content had been covered and covered again. So then I went back further through the archives to have a look. And I noticed that actually this happens every year. So back in 2021, we had The Mirror and The Independent covering, dangerous things for dogs. In 2022, exactly the same. And in 2020, exactly the same. So it's no surprise that in 2024, it happened again. Now in 2024, both Paw Squad and Pooch and Mutt jumped on this trend, and they provided some really great expert-led comments. They also provided some data around this idea, and they landed some really, really great links and coverage off the back of it. Now, I don't work with either of these clients, and maybe they went into a huge ideation session to do it, but if they did, they didn't need to. They could have looked through the Google News Archive, done a simple research piece, and pulled some ideas together to add value to a conversation. Really, really quick and easy to do, really low cost, still gives a really good, relevant result. And I did mention that it was going to appear a little bit later, but for those of you that do have a dog, you can get a dog-friendly Easter egg. This one, I think, came from Pets at Home. I'm not affiliated with Pets at Home in any way, but they can still enjoy Easter all the same. It's not just chocolate that can do that. We, with our own clients, did a piece on fruit flies back in 2023, where we knew coming into August it was a real pain because, they're a hassle in the kitchen. Put out some expert comment, got some really great coverage, and rehashed it again in 2024. Again, more coverage, similar content, same style of expert-led commentary. So to summarize on point 1, you don't need to rewrite the wheel, work with what you have. Point 2 is exactly that, work with what you have. And what I mean by this is expertise. So your expertise is one of your cheapest yet richest assets. And what I mean by this essentially is you have a mindful information just waiting to be used, but you need to leverage it in the right way. So take your expertise or your clients or your in-house expertise and leverage it with a timely news piece. An example of this would be working with a legal client, so a legal client that looks around cancer negligence. In this particular instance, we gave out signs and symptoms advice for cervical cancer, got a piece covered in the Express. We then rehashed these comments, the same comments, and tied them in with an event, Cervical Cancer Awareness Week 2023. We did it again when the NHS were ramping up their HPV vaccine, and we did it again for Cervical Cancer Awareness Week 2024. Use your experts, bank your comments, create a calendar of timely events that are coming up, and put them out. Give the journalists a reason to cover your comments and give them a hook with which to do so. Did exactly the same with lung cancer in the Express, tied it in with Stoptober on the Mirror, and then also, unfortunately, when Dame Esther Ranson got lung cancer, essentially, we did it again then. You can also do it in the soap sphere, let's say. So in this particular example, we jumped on Coronation Street. Any Coronation Street fans in the audience? No one wants to admit to it? Cool, that's fine. And what we found is we had a storyline here where, unfortunately, someone had been subjected to sepsis. So we worked with the legal team to give some comments as to what would happen in this instance, to kind of add some expertise to something that was otherwise quite fictional, and landed some really great links off the back of that. So in essence, it's the same expertise with a timely outreach. You can do the same with a concept and timely outreach as well. So a good example of this would be the cheapest supermarket roast. So I'm sure we all love a bit of a Sunday roast. And with that cost of living theme in mind, so 52% of people said it's really important to them, we look to put together where you can get the cheapest supermarket roast. We also did it for the cheapest full English breakfast. And then we rehashed it again for Christmas dinner. So again, you can take one very, very simple concept and make it timely and make it relevant both to your client and to the journalist by simply releasing the content at the right time. So summary of that is bank your comments, create a calendar of events, and it will generate for you some great earned links and coverage. It's brand building piece, and it also showcases your expertise and your relevance. Point 3, get creative, but keep your journalists in mind. So to go back to that statistic of 52% people caring about cost of living, we wanted to have a look at finance. So we're talking about things like ways to save money and also ways to avoid spending money. So think about fines. For those of you that work in the digital PR space, you'll know that anything that's money saving or anything that's related to fines has been absolutely lapped up by journalists in the last 12 months. So take the concept of money saving and think about how you can apply it to a client. In example 1, a garden furniture retailer applies it by looking at how you can be fined for doing things in your garden. You can actually get up to 12 grand in fines for simple things like not burying your pet properly or painting your garden fence the wrong color. Crazy, but true. Obviously something that people want to read about because it gets a lot of coverage, but it also ties in really nicely with the concept of relevancy to the brand, expertise, trust, good human interest angle, and ties in with cost of living. Similar for road traffic accident firm, same concept, 5 ways that passengers and your pet could land you with a fine. This was things like your pet not being tied into the car properly, using your mobile phone, smoking, etc., etc. Again, ties in really nicely with that cost of living concept. Get some really great coverage, really, really straightforward and simple to put together, but just tying in with that cost of living hook that people are desperate to read about. And finally, for something that's a little bit more dry, working with a printer client, talking about why you should print your boarding pass off. Now, if you're like me and you always have your boarding pass on your phone, you wouldn't think twice about printing it out. But actually, if your phone battery dies or some airports don't accept them, it can cost you a lot of money to have them reprinted at the boarding gate. So again, really simple concept, tying it in with a high human interest angle to really kind of get that information that the journalist and the reader wants out there, and also super relevant to what the brand does as well. But sometimes you don't even need to go that far. You just need to collate the information to show expertise. And if you work in the finance sector, this is probably a really great idea at the minute, but the government has a lot of grants where you can save thousands on energy bills. And this is really topical right now because from the 1st of October, obviously everyone's energy bills went up 10%. So you can just pull all of this information together in one place. It's a really great resource for people to understand how they can save money, and it'll get coverage on a variety of different publications. Again, it's building that expertise, it's building that trust, and you can do it at a time such as, to coincide with the 1st of October, when it is something that's really topical and something that people are talking about. More than that, the truth is that we want to know about information that helps us. So yes, we want to know from a financial perspective, but in general, we just want to know about things that are going to make our lives a little bit easier. And you need to be able to relate your brand to that. We love relatable content because it helps to build that pathos, so essentially that emotional connection with the audience. You can work in partnerships, so you could partner with someone that is relatable to your audience. In this example, it's an Insta mum. So if you have that as your sort of target audience for your brand, you can partner with Insta mums to give really good advice. So in this case, saving £90 on Halloween festivities or saving on the cost of school uniform. Super simple information, but partnering with someone that is relatable to people can really help to push that angle and to push it with journalists as well. Data-backed content is also really popular with journalists in this angle, but make sure that you include a really clear methodology so the journalists understand what it is that you're saying. In this particular instance, free data sources can be valuable to you when we're talking about keeping costs low. This particular piece looks at where is the cheapest place to go on holiday based on conversion rate and currency conversions. You can use websites like xe.com, which are free currency converters, to work out where is cheaper versus the pound compared to 6 years ago. In this particular instance, it was Turkey, but again, you're using a free data source to get that information. Very, very low cost apart from your man hours. If you work in a slightly more tricky industry, so let's say vaping, again, it can be more difficult to obviously get that PR coverage, but we also want to do something that's super relevant. You can look at things like FOI requests. So freedom of information requests can be submitted to your local council, and they can get pretty much any information that you need at a council level. In this particular instance, it looks at where illegal vapes have been seized across the UK. You can demonstrate it in a really, really nice kind of colourful pictorial map, so it makes it easily digestible to the audience. And it's a really nice way to showcase a campaign that, can get a lot of coverage off the back of that. It's super newsworthy, it's super relevant. It's a really nice piece for the client, but also the data, again, has been free to achieve. There's lots of free data sources out there that you can use: Statista, ONS, NHS Digital, XE, Instagram, even for hashtag data. So, go ahead, feel free to use them. If you're trying to keep your costs down, then this is a really, really nice way to do it. All you really need with that is a great idea, great timing, and to deliver essentially what journalists want. And my final point for today is to combine your SEO and digital PR efforts. So again, if you're trying to, maximize your budget, then why not combine your SEO and digital PR efforts for like a mutual benefit? Building hubs on a website are a really, really nice way to do this, because you're not only building out your own sort of expertise and content, which naturally is helping to build those EEAT signals, and it's helping to build trust and content, pillared content around a particular subject. You're also providing a great resource for journalists to link to and to link to naturally. One example of this is a cosmetic surgery statistics hub that we built out on one of our clients' websites. We had it rank for cosmetic surgery stats and cosmetic surgery data, and it landed some really, really great links from publications that we probably wouldn't normally get in an outreach perspective. And more than that, one thing that we noticed with this style of digital PR is it actually landed a lot of follow links, because journalists are actively going and taking the content from your website. I think they probably feel a little bit more likely to kind of pass on a do follow link. So sometimes these links can be a little bit more valuable. We also did a data hub on the cost of being vegan in 2024. So we'd realized that actually a lot of vegan products were becoming much more expensive. Again, tied in with cost of living. This is something that people would be very concerned about, or something that would definitely be of like a general awareness. And again, started ranking it for a term like Vegan Stats 2024. Landed some really great coverage from Science Times, Board Panda, Enterprise Apps, etc. So some really great quality, relevant links, linked back to the website. But at the same time, we're also building out content hubs that are valuable from an SEO perspective. So by pooling your resources and your investment together, you can actually create a really good outcome for both. I like to refer to this essentially as the gift that keeps on giving, because obviously once you've set up a content hub, you can refresh it time and time again to make sure that you're getting the maximum value out of it, both from an SEO and digital PR perspective. So on the hubs, create data that journalists can use, rank it, and work closely with your SEO team so you're both getting maximum benefit from it. So to summarize, digital PR doesn't have to cost the earth, especially to get a really good return and a really good investment. And when you do it properly and you do it effectively, it has the power to get people to convert. It can build relationships and reputation, which from a conversion optimization perspective is perfect. It can help you to build your brand. And most importantly, it can craft high quality newsworthy content that earns links, builds your EEAT, and helps to build your overall brand reputation. Thank you very much for listening today. Please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. And if you have any questions, I'll just be down here at the end of the talk.
Monthly reporting making you want to shove sharp things up your nose? Try Dragon Metrics, the all-in-one SEO software with mind-blowing reporting tools.